that? Well, it's our version of the IPO. Okay, so let me explain this because it is the roots of tokenomics, really. What we've done, you know, cryptocurrency or crypto assets, whatever we call it, tokens, is an interesting new financial instrument, really. Or the problem is we're not really sure, or the authorities aren't really sure what it is, because sometimes it acts like a commodity, sometimes it acts like a currency, sometimes it acts like an asset. You know, so it kind of morphs into many things, and it's very difficult because in the United States, sometimes it acts like a commodity, right? So who's in charge of it? Is it the Commodities Board in the U.S., or is it the SEC, or is it the currency, the federal currency angle of the U.S. government? So it's very confusing because this is a new financial instrument. This is a new asset class. I guess it's probably a better word.
So, as I understand it from you, it gets its value from the collective agreement that it has value.
It has value, like we all agree that 1 dinar is worth 1 dinar because we all agree that it is. So it's similar. It also has to do with how it's being traded on the markets.
I'm sorry, you're oversimplifying.
Okay.
KD currency comes from the economy of Kuwait, and there is from the economy, it's the economy-based currency.
Like well, it's also based on the markets that are trading. The forex markets have a lot to play with it too, right?
Exactly. So
we have what are called decentralized. We have what are called cryptocurrency exchanges, where Bitcoin is traded against thousands of other currencies.
Yes. So I'm trying to find out where the values come.
Well, the value comes from who's buying, who's selling. It's a free market.
Absolutely, but
I'm sorry.
Demand and supply.
It's
demand.
Exactly. Demand and supply. I mean. It is to a certain extent. You got to realize that 80% of all cryptocurrencies, or maybe 90%, are capped. Like there's only 21 million Bitcoin, right? So that's also makes it quite different. This is one of the things that Satoshi did because he thought the ability to print money was ridiculous. To have an infinite source of money. And one of the other things about the central bank that's very interesting is the central bank are really used to controlling the economy and having the finger on it by releasing funds or opening up the chutes to put money into the system. But this is really an incident where new liquidity is being created from the bottom up. We're putting new wealth into the system, but we're not. The central bank is not doing it. So it's kind of one way to look at it, and that's the kind of threat that they feel is they don't have any control of this new money that's being pumped into the economy. And these cryptocurrencies, if you can trade them for Bitcoin or Ethereum, then they're liquid to fiat, right? I mean, I can have any cryptocurrency, there's thousands of them there. If I can trade them on an exchange for Bitcoin, I can turn them into real money. So that's the difference between the old sort of community currencies that people had, where small villages were trading, and they were shut down by governments because it wasn't digital. And today, where it's sort of this borderless phenomenon that doesn't fit under. The regulatory issue is huge because if I want to deal with a cryptocurrency exchange, it may be located in Malta, and I'm selling currency and buying currency through some other foreign country's exchange, and it doesn't matter because as long as they have pretty tough KYC AML, which is good, so they know who I am, etc.
So you come with an initial currency offering.
You want me to go back to that? Initial currency offering was a financial instrument. We were building cryptocurrencies first in 2012 to 2013, and then someone came up with the idea that hey, why don't I build a new cryptocurrency and let me fund it by allowing people to buy the currency before I create the currency at a discount, because we need funding to hire the developers to build it. So it was like, okay, let's just create some money and sell it, and people will buy it because when it hits the market, they already have a discount on the release price, and then they hope it goes up because people will use it. Look, if you look at I call it the 10,000 Bitcoin pizza theory, right? The first thing I ever bought with Bitcoin? 2 Papa John pizzas from Florida. You know how much it cost? The first pizzas, 2 of them, 10,000 Bitcoin. It's about $75 million today. So this is the kind of thing that gets people, well, hey, this is where the speculators come in, etc., etc. So they want to come in, they believe in the project, they believe in the people, they believe that a large protocol or idea will be big enough that a lot of people will believe in it, and the value, the demand will keep going up, and therefore the value of the crypto asset will keep going up. So what they pay 25 cents for may become $5,000. That's what's kind of driving it. So it's these little projects. There's 4,000 ICOs right now on ICO bench. That's how we've. There's another slide coming up. We've raised $22 billion in the past 2 years for innovation, which is great, I think, in many ways.
22 billion in what?
Dollars.
In what? Yeah.
Innovation.
Innovation. Okay.
Yeah. People that have ideas for new projects that fund them using cryptocurrency. Now, it gets more complicated than that because.
Can you explain how you did that?
Yeah.
Is it okay? We wait for the question and then we want to go.
No, I like this.
I do.
I like this. I think let's just let it go where it wants to go. Sorry.
How does it work?
Okay.
In a public offering, an initial offering, you are offering shares in.
Okay, that's where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, let me talk about the history first. Okay, I come from the open source software movement, right, where we used to laugh at each other and say the only currency we had was ego, because we'd build cool stuff and people would use it. There was this collective group of people who believed that open sourcing was the way to go, and in many ways it is the way to go. Look what open source software like Chrome and Firefox did to Internet Explorer. That's just one example. So the first projects that did ICOs were non-profit foundations, open source software, non-proprietary, no patents, and no equity for token buyers. They bought the tokens only with the hope that it would go up, and we would sell we would issue 100 million tokens, say, and we would keep 40 million for us, for future development and other things, and for the founders. Like Vitalik Buterin probably owns 10% of all Ethereum. It's worth a bit of money. And then we would sell off the other half, but we would only sell it. People had to have Ethereum or they had to have Bitcoin. So we wouldn't sell it to fiat. So it wasn't, governments don't recognize Ethereum or Bitcoin as money, as a currency. So how do they regulate that? Because it's not a currency. The United States calls it a commodity. So, this is the whole thing why they're having so many problems with this. So initially, we would raise money through this process, and we would have, in the end, we would have a pool of Ethereum and Bitcoin, which we would transfer into fiat currency through the exchanges to fund our idea. So that was the beginning, right? Now, at some point, the venture capitalists started getting interested. I actually wrote a piece, the first piece about ICOs in the mainstream media, in the Harvard Business, HBR, Harvard Business Review, and it was interesting because a week later I was in San Francisco talking to a bunch of VC who wanted to know what the heck was going on, and I was like, well, you don't get equity, you don't get this, you don't get that, but you do get liquidity. That was all I could give them, like liquidity in the sense that if a VC invests in a project at say early stage seed, then they go round A, round B, round D, and then it turns into a unicorn. Pretty soon they got $100 million in it, and they're waiting for 5 or 10 years for an exit or an acquisition by Google or whoever. So they got money locked away for a long time. What our system does is allow them to say, hey, if they don't want it, they just sell their tokens in the market. They're digital assets. So they go up. Yeah?
So I think that project, two people invest in it, there's no equities, no returns on these rights, and the capital appreciation on the demand of these rights.
Okay, but no, it's more than that, because we have something, I'll explain that, okay? Because not only did the tokens have the rights to buy and sell, there's a limited amount of them, but they also had utility value within the ecosystem.
Okay.
So for instance, like Ethereum, you need Ethereum to buy gas to execute contracts. So we call that utility value. So in the community it has some value. Let me give you an example. Another project called DNA Tips. They're doing an ICO, some friends of mine, and they have really good, interesting utility value for the coin. Because, like me, I'm like a person that was going to send my DNA to 23andMe, and then I read the small print, and I was like, I don't want to have my DNA going to some place in Texas, really. And what they provide is a vault my DNA. So I actually have self-sovereign control of my own DNA. I have a private-public combination that only allows me access. No one else can have it. Unless they have tokens and they want to buy some rights to see my DNA. So that's called utility value, because they have to buy tokens to get access. So if academic institutions or research scientists want access to DNA, they have a pool of it, the company that's got all the lockers. And they ask all the people that hold the lockers, do you want to make some tokens for selling rights to use your DNA for testing? And I can say yes, or I can say no. With my tokens, I can also pay the company, DNA Ticks, to give me further information on my DNA. Like maybe I want to know what kind of diseases I'm susceptible to. Or I want to know like what my color my kid's eyes going to be, or what part of Africa, or whatever. So there's real use for that token within the ecosystem. That's called utility value. So it's more than just speculation value. There's also a good ICO or a good project will have what we call utility value. But let me go on to the next stage, because I haven't even touched equity yet. So now we got the VC going, okay, Andreessen Horowitz says we're going to start polychain, we're going to start investing in this. Now, when we do an ICO, we used to do what was called a pre-sale, which is a family and friends round. We would raise like $300,000 to $500,000 to do the ICO, because it costs a lot of money, the marketing, everything else. You got to travel around the world. And we would give people bigger discounts than we gave the public. Well, when the venture capitalists started coming in, they started saying, oh, we want the most arbitrage, right? We're not going to go with the public, you got to give us something more. So they started going into the pre-sale category. Now, the weird thing is in 6 months later, the pre-sale went from being a family and friends round of like maybe 20% of the total raise to being 60 to 70% of the total raise, because the institutional investors they were coming in like crazy, and they wanted the most arbitrage. But that was just step one. Now we're seeing, if you Google stuff about tokens and about the tokenomics and everything, you're going to see the word equity tokens, securitized tokens, tokenized securities. Because now they've come in and they said, okay, well, we like this, we like the liquidity, we like what's happening, we think this is going to take over in some ways. Decentralized exchanges are coming, and they are now issuing a new phase where equity tokens are going to become part of the landscape. So where you're going to not only invest in a project or an idea or whatever, but you're going to take a stake in it as well. And that's under the, but I think we're still going to have the old school, this is now they want patents, they want corporations, not foundations, they want profit, not non-profit. And they want, proprietary. They want to lock it up in the way that they're used to doing business, and that's fine. I think that we're moving in that direction. In some way, that gives it a lot more legitimacy, and it's going to help drive the market. And regulators will be happy with that, because then it becomes clear what it is. It's an equity token. It's a security. Bang, it goes into that closet. That means the SEC writes the rules, or the equivalent of the SEC in every country. It's clear that it's a security. It's clear it falls into this basket, and that's great. So now, we're coming. The only problem is right now there's no exchanges that will accept security tokens, because nobody's sure what the authorities or the SEC is going to do, and the SEC really has to make a decision in order for this to move forward. But there are security exchanges. Like right now, if you had a security token, you couldn't exchange it for fiat currency anywhere, probably, until the exchanges say okay, and they're happy with the SEC.
But it's a currency. How can it be a security token?
It's not a currency. It's a commodity. It's a currency. It's a shapeshifter. It's a digital asset. It's an asset. It's a new asset class. You can't just call it a currency. Bitcoin is used as a currency. Yes, that's people trade and buy. You can buy things.
You pay with.
Yeah, but most, and in certain ecosystems, like I described DNA Ticks, it kind of acts like a currency inside there when you're paying and buying the services, or people are buying, but it's a digital asset. It's not a currency. It can be a currency, but it can also be other things. It can be now an equity, it can be a share. Sorry? Yes. In some forms it is, yes. I mean, I can also tokenize something and not do an ICO. I could just sink my own money and tokenize an ecosystem and then introduce tokens into the ecosystem and let people use it. So it can be an investment interest, but tokenization or tokenomics is bigger than that. It's about the fact that we can create scarcity with a digital asset. What's interesting is when I was talking about $25 as being like the minimum really for making any money in terms of trade in know the financial news. Now we can do microcurrencies. So if I want to read a New York Times article, I can pay 5 cents. You ever thought, why don't they just do that instead of putting up the paywall? Why can't I just pay like 5 cents? It's because it's not sensitive. It's not, you know, unless you do a credit system and people buy credits, it just doesn't. It's not financially viable. But we can do that now because we have almost zero cost transaction fees. So you know, I can pay a microcurrency, no problem. But not only that, we can go into nanocurrencies, and this is where it gets interesting in terms of economics, because machine to machine and the Internet of Things is and sensors, and that whole market combined with AI is growing exponentially at a massive rate. And guys like John Pliviger at MIT are really envisioning where in this future world we're going to create an entire new economy where there's going to be machine-to-machine transactions, but using nanocurrencies, not micro, nano, 0.000001, but on economy scale, with millions of machines making transactions of information or data around the world, and having to pay a tokenized, you know, a fee of sorts, or you know, having to pay, having a token structure in there. There's a whole new economy to be built on this system that's being built. And I think that's where it starts to get really interesting. And that's where tokenomics starts to have a big place, right?
Machines can still do that using real dollars, right?
How do I send you money?
Because
how do I send you 0.0001?
I mean, it's a crediting account. You're crediting accounts and debiting accounts just like we do now.
Yeah, but that's still using the old system.
Hardly see the money.
You still have cost of transit. You can do credit debit, but they don't do that. Why do they do that with newspapers? Why can't I go just tell them $10 now?
Because the cost of processing is the competitive advantage.
Well, definitely that's zero cost transaction is one of the biggest features. Or near zero.
No, because we go back to the lady's question about value, the concept of value. I think Bitcoin has